Now this is the structure of the paramecium, right? It is having slipper like structure, so that is known as the slippery animal as well. Now this structure, for example, is of paramecium showing the presence of cilia, right? Cilia is nothing but external projection on the surface of the body of the paramecium, right? And this cilia is going to help this paramecium in the process of locomotion, right? How? Because they are aquatic, right? They are aquatic and mostly freshwater living organism. For their movement, for their locomotion, they need to have the certain organelles, and this is known as a cilia, and it also sometimes help in the process of protection from other predators. Now this small structure which is inside this paramecium is known as micronucleus, right? And this micronucleus is going to help in the process of reproduction, right? Now there is another structure which is slightly larger than micronucleus, is known as macronucleus, metanucleus, right? And this nucleus is going to help in the all other processes or function carried out by the paramecium other than reproduction. So all other function other than reproduction is carried out by the macronucleus. Now this paramecium is also having the two contractile vacuole like flower, right? You see like the sunflower is their structure, they are having the external projection, and this is known as contractile vacuole. And this contractile vacuole is going to help because they are aquatic in the process of osmoregulation, right? So maintaining their balance of energy source, or they are, since they are a floating body, so they require for the, so they are two in number. Here one is that is known also contractile vacuole, and this one is a similar structure. This is macronucleus and this one is a micronucleus, right? So these both showing that this is having one macro and one macro. So on that basis, this is known as paramecium chordatum, right? One macronucleus and one macronucleus. So we can see one macronucleus and one micronucleus, right? Now the most important part of this paramecium is known as reproduction. Now paramecium undergoes two types of reproduction. The first, reproduction, and they undergo two types of reproduction, that is known as first asexual reproduction, and second, that is known as sexual reproduction. Now this asexual reproduction is by process of transverse asexual reproduction, right? And this is known as by process of conjugation, right? Now this paramecium structure on the lower part, that is having the tunnel like structure, which is also, why I am showing this now, because of transverse asexual reproduction, right? Transverse, it means it's going to be having body or cut into the two, right? So we need to know that this is also paramecium structure having the gullet like structure. This is internal projection, right, inside the body, and this is known as gullet. Nothing. Now this gullet is also having the tube-like structure or bubble-like structure on this, and this is known as food vacuole. What is it known as? Food vacuole. So it is having the food structure and or food gather or food consume that will be located in that. Now this is a structure known as paramecium, which showing the different. What was the most important one here? We wanted to see the ciliata. We wanted to see the cilia. That is it. We are not going to interested knowing that the kind of reproduction and all that. That is a part and parcel of this kingdom Protista, that is known as heterotrophs. But the point is that the important structure under which ciliata category of the kingdom Protista, we wanted to see the structure of the ciliata, and we got to know that, right? So you have this ciliata. We saw the zooflagellate. We also saw earlier heterotrophs, and here we complete heterotrophs kingdom Protista, that is known as a protozoans, right? And now the next part, that is known as a saprophytic. We saw autotrophic, we saw heterotrophic. Now we are going to see saprophytic. Now what is saprophyte? Saprophyte is nothing but those living organisms who derive their energy source or nutrition from the dead organic material, that is known as a saprophyte. Saprophyte. And under this we are already talked about example is known as, what is example? Slime mold. What is example? Slime mold. Now these slime molds are type of Protista which are whole and solely dependent on the dead organic material. So it means their growth. Example.
Slime mode is a plasmodium example.
Slime mode is a plasmodium example. Example. We are going to see that. But first, what is slime mode? Under that, we are going to see the example of the plasmodium, which is of an underline and bolding, right? And so plasmodium, that is grow and develop on the dead organic material. So it means they get their nutrition or energy from the dead organic material and decomposing material, right? So that is known as a slime mold. And याच्यामध्ये आपण example बघितलं होतं, that is known as plasmodium. But this plasmodium is a different from that plasmodium. The plasmodium under which we saw कशा type मध्ये पाहिलं plasmodium. What was the plasmodium which saw earlier? Underlying that, but which is the category? Heterotrophs. Right? Heterotroph, and that plasmodium is found inside the body of human, that is intestine. Right? So we are the host. But that plasmodium is mostly italic and underlining. But this plasmodium is a kind of benign. That plasmodium is pathogenic, but this plasmodium is not that disease carrying and not. So malaria is caused by that plasmodium, under which that plasmodium is written in italic and having underline, right? So that is the basic difference you have to know about. Now this slime molds normally found in these slime molds normally found in dark and damp place. Dark and damp place. म्हणजे काय? Where sunlight is not going to reach, that is known as dark, and damp. If the sunlight is not reaching, the place will not be dry, right? म्हणजे काय? खूप ओलावा असणारं ठिकाण असेल जिथे कुठल्याही प्रकारचा सनरेज पास होत नाहीत, that is known as a dark and damp, right? Now these are uninucleate. Uninucleate and most of the cell of this remain together. Remain म्हणजे राहतात, ठीक आहे ना? So that is known as together. So how it is? Suppose these are the decomposing and living on the dead organism and they are uninucleate. So suppose this is the structure of the plasmodium, right? And this structure is uninucleate, so having one nucleus, right? The point is that they are so tiny they cannot live freely, so they need to have the live in the colony. So what happens? They will live together. It means they are attached to each other, right? So they are attached to each other, and by attaching they create mucinous like structure around them. So they create, this is known as mucilage. So this mucilage secretion is called seed. Is called seed. Seed means nothing but they providing cell wall, like you are providing a protection to the plasmodium, right? So this structure is known as protoplasmic mass. Protoplasmic mass. They do not have any cell wall. So mark importantly, they do not have cell wall. Next important feature, that is known as the reproduction. Reproduction is mostly asexual. Reproduction is mostly asexual. That is by the form of fragmentation, second sporulation or spore formation. And third, that is known as sclerosia formation. Sclerosia formation. So in this, little cyst formation takes place, and in the condition of the favorable and unfavorable, that is known as how we say the encystment in the plasmodium, amoeba encystment. So that is known as a cyst. Here also sclerosia formation. So what will happen around this? If the condition is unfavorable, they are going to form the cyst. Right? right? This is known as systemain. And if the condition returns, so temporary there will be the no reproduction. So that is known as sclerotia formation, and this is also one of the types of reproduction. So spore formation are the important because they are so tiny, and spore formation, you know that there are many spore, and through that, if this is the plasmodium and having the different spore, so this when they break, right, they are going to be like any shape, right? They are going to be like the airy film. Having the flagella also is possible in this case. And flagella kadi, because of two small irregular shaped plasmodium, when they undergo the process of sexual reproduction, that is known as conjugation, that also happens here, but mostly asexual, right? So then only it will have the regular form. So if the asexual form is the most regular form of reproduction, there is another that is known as sexual form of reproduction. So first and the second, this is known as sexual reproduction, right? Okay, so here we saw the complete and detailed understanding or detailed explanation of the kingdom Protista or its various types with the suitable examples, and here with the slime molds we complete the kingdom Protista, and in the next we'll talk about the kingdom Fungi, which is the most important from the exam point of view. Kingdom Fungi and its various types and its importance in the ecosystem, that is going to be our the next topic, that is kingdom Fungi. Till then, good day. Thank you so much.